might be new to my channel, as this video is entirely different from my usual videos, so I'll introduce myself. I'm Midnight, and I like a lot of shows, like Demon Slayer, Danganronpa, The Amazing Digital Circus, and many others. However, as of late, I've been oddly fixated on the Smurfs. This obsession of mine started a few months ago, and it all started because I remember watching the Smurfs live action movies, which led me to joke about liking a specific Smurf. And that's when I realized I liked the Smurfs a little bit too much. I also like lost media videos, and I've always wanted to make one myself. That's when I thought to myself, wait, I can make a Smurfs lost media video. And now we're here! I'm going to keep this short so we can start talking about the various pieces of Smurfs lost and found media. When someone mentioned a third Smurfs movie, you'd probably think of Smurfs the Lost Village. However, despite it being a pretty fun movie, it originally wasn't going to be the third modern Smurfs movie. The Smurfs 3 was going to be the third movie in the live-action Smurfs franchise, being announced approximately 2 weeks after the Smurfs 2 was released in theaters. Apparently, it was supposed to be released in the second half of 2015, most likely in August, but it was later cancelled in 2014, being replaced by a computer-animated reboot of the Smurfs franchise. This would later be known as Smurfs the Lost Village, which probably explains why people refer to that movie as the third Smurfs movie, even though it's a reboot of the Smurfs movies and not a continuation of the live-action series. The plot of this movie was going to be about the Smurfs traveling to a different time period, possibly the late 1800s. Honestly, this doesn't sound like a bad idea, since in the first two live-action movies, the Smurfs were in present-day Manhattan, so this might have been a change of pace for the movie. I just hope it wasn't as corny as the first two, though.
Oh, I bet my glutes look great climbing up this rope. Grouchy, take a look.
I hate my life.
Anyways, this movie was pretty much doomed from the start. It was cancelled for a variety of reasons. According to the Cancelled Movies Wiki, these are the following reasons for why the movie was cancelled. Number 1. The voice actor of Papa Smurf, Jonathan Winters, died of natural causes on April 11, 2013, before the film was made. Number 2. The first two Smurfs movies were panned by critics and audiences, despite the first film being a box office success, which is understandable. And number 3. The Smurfs 2 also underperformed at the box office compared to its predecessor. Now this is where the lost media comes in. It's unknown if any animations were actually finished for the Smurfs 3. However, we do have 2 storyboards for the movie. But wait, where did these come from? Well, here's where they came from. Scott Santoro is a storyboard artist, author, and illustrator who has worked for Walt Disney Studios, DreamWorks, Sony, Ambulmation, Paramount Animation, and Warner Animation Group. He's worked on several well-known movies, including, but not limited to, Aladdin, The Prince of Egypt, How to Train Your Dragon, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, The Road to El Dorado, and even the Bee Movie. He just so happens to have a website where he posts his storyboards. On that very website, he has a storyboard which is labeled as being for an early version of Smurfs the Lost Village that had nothing to do with the final movie, and he wasn't credited for working on the movie since the version he had worked on was cancelled. There are 2 storyboards available on the site. I'll go over the contents of the storyboards now. In the first one, it shows Clumsy Smurf being chased by a female goat. This goat has some sort of crush on Clumsy for some reason. Clumsy Smurf, living up to his name, accidentally bumps into Brainy Smurf and they roll into a puddle of mud. Brainy is obviously concerned about what's happening, and I am too. The goat catches up to Clumsy and licks him, but Brainy is tired of this buffoonery and takes Clumsy with him, but the goat comes back and pushes Brainy aside. It's then revealed that the goat thinks that Brainy is a rival suitor and is jealous of him, causing Clumsy to come up with a plan to escape the situation. We then get an incredibly ridiculous scene where Clumsy pretends to be taken by Brainy, complimenting him and even going as far as kissing him.
It should have been me, not him! It's not fair!
To be honest, this seems like the type of thing Brainy would do to Clumsy, or any Smurf for that matter, not the other way around, since he gets scared easily and quickly goes to someone else for protection, mainly Papa Smurf. Moving on, Clumsy then flees and leaves Brainy alone to deal with the goat himself. After messing up big time, Brainy then proceeds to get chased by the goat again. The scene then cuts to Gutsy, which could have been his final appearance in Smurf media as a whole, Grouchy and Hefty, who are being chased by a different goat. The two goats are about to ram into each other. Every Smurf manages to get out of the way, well, except for Brainy. Why is it always him getting hurt? The goats then bow down to the Smurfs as a sign of respect. Anyways, more Smurfs created for the live-action movies would have been introduced, one of them being a Smurf called Peter, and I have no idea what his theme or character attribute is supposed to be. Peter then rides one of the goats and causes them to chase the Smurfs again. Yeah, I don't know who Peter is supposed to be, but he annoys me. The second storyboard shows Reckless Smurf, who'd later become Papa Smurf, running into Gargamel and Azrael, who appear to have traveled into the past, as Reckless Smurf has no idea that he becomes Papa Smurf in the future. Gargamel and Azrael then interrogate Reckless, asking him where the magic jewels are. Gargamel gets angry with Reckless and uses violent threats to get his way, which eventually works, and Reckless reveals the location of the jewels. Gargamel threatens Reckless some more and throws him into an underground tunnel of some sorts. Gargamel then covers the entrance of the tunnel, trapping Reckless Smurf. Going off these storyboards, the Smurfs were granted a magical ability to travel back in time, but Gargamel also finds out about this and travels back in time for his own selfish reasons, maybe so he can capture the Smurfs in the future. Sadly, other than these two storyboards, there is no known footage or images of any kind detailing the production of the Smurfs 3, leaving this film only partially found. The Smurfs 3 wasn't the only Lost Smurfs movie. The Smurfs, also known as the Smurfs movie or Smurfs the movie, was going to be a collection of 3 3D CGI movies about the Smurfs. For clarity, I'll be referring to it as Smurfs the movie because the other two options sound extremely similar to the title of the first live-action Smurfs movie. Being developed by Paramount Pictures and Nickelodeon Studios, it was set to release in November 2008 in honor of the Smurfs comics' 50th anniversary. The movie was announced in 2005, but the day it was going to be released never came. Apparently, based on what was said on the Smurfs wiki page, the plot of the first movie goes as follows. Gargamel finds Smurfs Village, and the Smurfs fled to keep themselves safe. As they head through territory in the outskirts of the village, hijinks ensue, as they look for a way to stop Gargamel and save the village. The plots of the other two movies are known, but aren't as developed, as they are assumed to have not been worked on, or at least they were, but they never got far enough into production to have a solid plot. In fact, we only have stuff from the first movie in this planned trilogy. So, how is the idea for this movie conceived? In 1997, American film producer Jordan Kerner sent a series of letters to the Smurfs licensing agent Lefig Belgium, showing an interest in making a feature film featuring the Smurfs. Initially, Lefig Belgium was wary of this proposal and decided not to give Kerner the rights. However, after Pale's heirs read Kerner's draft of the Charlotte's Web film adaptation, the licensing agents took up the offer. The reason being that Kerner's pitch shared the family's vision and enthusiasm. On July 18, 2005, a trilogy of films were officially announced to be in production. This was under the involvement of Paramount Pictures and Nickelodeon Movies. Paramount called for the help of Herb Ranter to write the script, while Paul Neeson and Julia Pister would executive produce. Paramount's vice president at the time, Matt Jackson, would watch over the project. He had stated the first film was aiming for a 2008 release date in time for the Smurfs' 50th anniversary. To make the movie more accurate to the 1981 Smurfs TV series, my favorite, Jordan Kerner and Herb Ranter researched the series vigorously, watching all the episodes. Mind you, there are 256 episodes in the 1981 Smurfs TV show, and that's actually insane. Despite how extreme this may sound, they did this to fix any plot holes in the original story by dedicating the trilogy to answering some questions about the Smurfs and addressing the plot holes in the 1981 series. This is how we got the vague plot for the second and third movies in the trilogy. The first film would have focused on the Smurfs. The sequel would focus on Gargamel's backstory and the origins of Smurf soup. and the third film would have focused on the origin on how the Smurfs and Gargamel came into conflict with each other. Even though the film was over halfway done, it was cancelled anyway. Okay, enough yapping. Time to tell you what the lost media is. People have found some footage of this cancelled movie. However, when it comes to details on what can possibly be lost, our biggest lead yet is Mr. Skeleton on X, formerly Twitter. Mr. Skeleton is a voice actor who has supposedly worked on the trailer for Smurfs the movie. This user is pretty mysterious to me, because when I checked their Twitter, they had no posts available on their account, so I assumed there were posts about the movie at some point, or they just sent them to certain people. Mr. Skeleton revealed information on the trailer, though it wasn't even completed. The Smurfs wiki claims that the trailer mostly focused on Papa Smurf, Smurfette, and Gargamel. However, several other Smurfs were also featured in the trailer, including Jokey, Hefty, Brandy, my bookie, Sassette, Baby Smurf, and Stappy in a comedic relief role, with Slouchy and Clumsy appearing in brief gags. The only footage of the trailer shows a Smurf with a sack going somewhere, a Smurf near a campfire, and a grown-up Sassette practicing with some sort of staff. What we don't see in the trailer contains shots of Smurfs running into Adriel, Gargamel's cat, near the end, and a view of the entire village. The film's tagline could have been, "When evil strikes, the Smurfs will band together." There are also images in a clip of the trailer, which unfortunately only lasts for a few seconds. This isn't nearly all the footage, as the trailer was around 2 minutes and 15 seconds long, while the TV spot was about 35 seconds long. A lot of the voice cast of Smurfs the movie was not confirmed. However, Mr. Skeleton told us who some of the characters' voice actors could possibly be based on who they sounded like, with most of them being celebrities. They recalled Smurfette sounding like Emma Stone, Jokey sounding like Danny DeVito, Hefty sounding like Alec Baldwin, Brainy sounding like Tom Kenny, Baby Smurf sounding like Tara Strong, and Nat sounding like Idina Menzel. Along with the little footage we have of the trailer, there are behind-the-scenes pictures and an animation shown to the public, giving us a better look on what this movie was supposed to look like. So far, Smurfs the movie is mainly lost, with barely any footage found. Les Aventures de Schtroumpfs, known as The Adventures of the Smurfs in English, is a 1965 animated black and white film featuring the Smurfs. It was the first animated production to feature the Smurfs. The film used 5 episodes from the 1961 series Les Schtroumpfs. The character design resembles the early art style of the first Smurfs comics, featuring slightly more angular bodies and the eyes often turning into small dots. I kinda wish they still made the Smurfs' eyes turn into small dots. It's really cute. The 1961 series used cutout animation for animating the characters, which made it look limited animation-wise. The 1961 series also kept the comic slapstick and visual humor, which was toned down in future iterations of the Smurfs, except when it came to Brainy being the village punching bag for some reason. But surprisingly, Brainy is safe this time around and doesn't get punished by the other Smurfs. Parts of the film can be seen on display at the Belgian Comic Strip Center in Brussels, Belgium, which is the birthplace of series creator Pierre Crawford, more well known as Peo, at a permanent Smurfs exhibit that was added to the museum to honor the franchise's 50th anniversary in 2008. On October 23, 2023, IMPS and Peo Productions announced that 7 episodes from the 1961 series would get uploaded exclusively to the official French Smurfs YouTube channel, fully restored, complete with a trailer. Each episode would get uploaded on Sundays on a weekly basis. The first episode uploaded by the channel was The Smurf Napper, followed by The Flying Smurf. The only episode that wasn't remastered was The Food Smurf, which is still displayed at the Belgian Comic Strip Center. The plots of these segments goes as follows. Smurf Napped. A Smurf gets captured by Gargamel. The Fake Smurf. Gargamel gets turned into a Smurf as he seeks revenge after the Smurfs foil his plan to use one of them to turn base metals into gold. The Flute Smurf. Jokey creates a magic flute for himself as he uses it to play tricks and cause trouble with the other Smurfs in the village. The Smurfs and the Magic Egg. The Smurfs discover a magic egg. The Block Smurfs. A contagious disease terrorizes the village. The Smurfs and the Dragon. The Smurfs befriend a domesticated dragon. And lastly, the Flying Smurf. One of the Smurfs attempts to fly like a bird. The series is now considered partially found, as there is a significant amount of stuff found for it, even if it's not complete. Smurfs Boomerang bumpers refer to bumpers featured on Boomerang USA, which is a spin-off channel of Cartoon Network. Boomerang aired the 1981 Smurfs TV series on its channel. As a result, the Smurfs got several bumpers on the channel, including regular bumpers, continuing bumpers, coming up next bumpers, Boomer royalty bumpers, and promotion bumpers. A lot of these bumpers are found. However, bumpers like Boomer royalty bumpers about Smurfette and Papa Smurf are only partially found, while bumpers like Smurfs, Toy Promo, Smurfs, Color Box, and their Today versions are completely lost. Other than that, a decent amount of the bumpers have footage, but I wish the other bumpers can be found someday. Cartoon Network Responds was a series of interstitials that aired on, you guessed it, Cartoon Network. These interstitials aired from early 1997 to June of 1998 and allegedly featured letters and emails from fans of the network. The guy answering these letters and emails was pretty sarcastic and pessimistic, and actually pretty funny too, and would respond to questions and statements in an unserious fashion. There are 20 interstitials and 3 unknown interstitials that are rumored to exist, but have zero information about them. But for this entry, I'll only go over the ones that involve the Smurfs. There are 2 found Smurfs Cartoon Network Response interstitials, and these may be the only ones made involving the Smurfs. But because of the 3 unknown interstitials, we don't know if all the Smurfs related ones are found. The first Smurfs interstitial is called Smurfs Snorks. In the first one, a girl named Elena says the only shows she watches on Cartoon Network are Smurfs and a show called The Snorks. The Snorks ran from 1984 to 1989 and were produced by Hanna-Barbera, which also produced the Smurfs 1981 TV series. They are a tribe of small, colorful, anthropomorphic sea creatures that live in the fictional Mediterranean undersea realm of Snorkland. They're also known for being a quote-unquote Smurfs clone, and they are often compared to the Smurfs. Some people even made theories about the Smurfs being evolved from the Snorks, or the Snorks and Smurfs being related species, which I find hard to believe. Anyways, after the fans' letter is read, it cuts to the Snorks' heads being superimposed onto the Smurfs' bodies, with the narrator calling this new show Smurf Snorks. The Smurf Snorks live in an underwater village and substitute some words in their language with Smurf Snork or some variation of it, similar to the actual Smurfs. This interstitial was found by 90s Cartoon Network. The second one that we know of features the narrator reading a spam email, saying that Cartoon Network has won $113 million from a contest. It then shows various clips of cartoon characters celebrating. However, there's a catch. The narrator spots an asterisk, and next to it there's text saying Hefty Smurf is not eligible. It then cuts to Hefty Smurf being upset, while the narrator says that the contest guys have no clue who they're messing with. This interstitial was found by Pinata Time. I have no idea what Hefty did to not get a cut of the money. Like, imagine everyone in your village except for you gets to be millionaires. No wonder he was sewing. As of now, these are the only Smurf interstitials that are known of, so we can assume that they are found, for now. Personally, this is my favorite entry out of all the ones on the list. The Smurfs National Benzole commercials were a series of 9 commercials released by the now-defunct National Benzole. These commercials were made not only to advertise their own company, but to also advertise a line of Smurfs figurines. These commercials featured some Smurfs working at a National Benzole station, filling up and fixing cars. This commercial series is the first time the Smurfs speak in English, predating the Smurfs and the Magic Flute. The character design in the commercials resembled the 1976 movie, The Smurfs and the Magic Flute. What's interesting about these commercials is that they introduce new characters exclusive to this campaign. These include Smurfs such as Helpful Smurf, Cheerful Smurf, Oily Smurf, Busy Smurf, Shine Smurf, and the titular National Smurf, who serves as a spokesman for National Benzole. He has a deeper voice than the other Smurfs.
Lovely, lovely. That's how I like to see a national station. Clean as a new Smurf.
Which could signal that he is an authority figure of some kind. Or he's just older, but I don't know. Notably, these commercials also featured pre-existing Smurfs, such as Smurfette, Papa Smurf, and most prominently, Brainy Smurf. However, Brainy's glasses are right here, when most of his iterations either have dark brown or more commonly black glasses. Also, he's not safe in these commercials as he gets hurt in some way in most of them. Can they not make him a punching bag for 5 seconds? I want to add that the songs used in the commercials are very catchy. Like, listen to this.
May we introduce ourselves?
We are Smurfs, not gnomes or elves.
We all work at National,
Giving help and fun for all.
we call it service with a Smurf.
Petrol, oil, and air with mirth.
National's the one place on earth.
You get service with a Smurf.
On November 8th, 2013, the official BP YouTube channel uploaded one of the commercials. Additionally, following this release, the other remaining commercials were uploaded to the BP video library. These are the summaries of the plots of the 9 commercials sourced from the Smurfs wiki page, because I'm getting a bit lazy. The first commercial has National Smurf instructing the Smurfs into doing a perfect job. He is satisfied with how the Smurfs line up in order together so they can start working. National then allows them to help the car by filling in the gasoline, checking the temperature, and filling in the tire with air. Brainy, after mistakenly inflating himself with an air pump for tires, gets blown away while National Smurf drives the car away. The Smurfs placed the signs they were holding in the beginning of the commercial. The second commercial has the same scenes used in the first commercial, while National Smurf explains the things the station will do while their job is done. The third commercial has the Smurfs singing the jingle song, which is sung by the same tune of Father Abraham's Smurf song. The fourth commercial has the Smurfs sing a quick song about the station. The fifth, sixth, and seventh commercial has the Smurfs saying their names and introducing themselves. The eighth commercial had National Smurf and the Smurfs marching and acting as if they were in the army. The final commercial features a stadium where the Smurfs race a clock in a marathon involving them doing their gas station duties. At the end, 4 female Smurfs resembling Smurfette are holding letter posters while the Smurfs are rewarded, in which Papa Smurf finally appears in that commercial in the end part while the Smurfs sing the jingle song. Wait, was it necessary to make 4 Smurfettes? If they didn't want to make up a new girl Smurf character, then why not just, I don't know, recolor her? Fortunately for us, all of the National Benzole Smurf commercials are found. My thoughts on this are mainly positive. As I mentioned before, this is my favorite piece of Smurfs lost media. From the art style, to the characters, and the music, the general vibes I get from these commercials are cute and friendly. Too bad Smurfs didn't actually fill up your car for you, because I'd actually kidnap Brainy if I had the chance.
It's so unfunny!
Ignore that. Let's move on to the last entry. The Smurfs Australian BP commercial was a commercial made for Australian audiences in the 1980s. In 1979, gas and oil company BP launched a few figurines featuring the Smurfs that can be found in the UK, South Africa, and Australia. Commercials were made for Australia, and these commercials featured a few Smurfs, but Papa Smurf was apparently featured more in this commercial. On an unknown date in the mid-1980s, an Australian animated commercial was created. This commercial showed Papa Smurf checking a BP gas station, in which some Smurfs are cleaning a car. One of these Smurfs also is seen carrying a pile of tires. Papa Smurf seems to be acting in a role similar to National Smurf, and I think that kinda makes more sense. But I have a question. If National Benzole is defunct, then what happened to National Smurf? Was his title revoked and then he became a regular Smurf? Or did he have to change his name to Gas Station Smurf or something else that's similar? What if they even took him out back and shot him? Okay, maybe not, but you understand me, right? Anyhow, this commercial is easily different from the National Benzole Smurf commercials, as they not only were made in a different country, but some things were changed. For example, instead of being based off the Smurfs and the Magic Flute, it might have had its own animation style, as the animation wasn't handled by Hanna-Barbera, and it was noticeably more fluid and smooth. The designs in this commercial also look like the 1981 Smurf TV series, and Pale's original art style. Here's a summary of the plot from its Lost Media wiki page. as there is no available footage for me to make my own. The commercial begins with Papa Smurf entering a Smurfs BP store and singing, "What is your plan? Simple plan," to 5 Smurf workers. Most of the commercial is set inside a Smurfs BP store, with Papa Smurf checking how clean the interior is, and another Smurf giving Papa Smurf a wrench, which he was searching for. Papa Smurf is later seen patting another Smurf on the back and saying, good lad, after a Smurf says, "At BP Super Shop, we really care." The most notable change is the ending, with a living car, singing the last few lyrics, "BP's the one place on earth," who is then joined by Papa Smurf and the other worker Smurf singing, "You get service with the Smurf," twice. Sadly, this is a case of lost media where it was once available, but it ended up becoming lost again due to poor archiving and just all-around bad luck. Somewhere in between 2009 and 2010, an unknown Australian YouTube user uploaded the commercial to their channel, along with other Australian commercials from the 1980s. But the videos were wiped from YouTube once they deleted or privated their account in the mid-2010s. You would think that since the commercial was on YouTube for at least 5 years, more people would come across it and save it, but this wasn't the case. Only one user had downloaded the commercial, but it was to make YouTube poop of all things. But similar to the original uploader of the commercial, they also deleted their account a few years later. Regardless, there was at least one more attempt to find this commercial. In June of 2025, Lost Media Wiki user Oyen contacted Ben Mayfield, who is a BP network and production manager, and asked him if the BP video library had the commercial within their archives. Ben Mayfield wasn't able to find the commercial in his archives, so he forwarded the search to Janet Umina, who is the BP Australia Digital Communications Advisor. She then contacted an archivist at BP Australia Archive. Unfortunately, the archivist stated that, to quote the Lost Media Wiki, the BP archives are closed for research post-1954, which means that this piece of lost media is still lost, and who knows how long it will be until it gets uncovered. This is pretty disappointing to me, because there are some moments where this could have been downloaded and archived properly. And with that, the video's finished. I really had fun making this video, and I hope I can make more Smurf related videos in the future. Also, I'll still make content for other fandoms I'm in, but I'm really focused on the Smurfs right now, so that's what I'll focus on. If you have any requests for videos like art, lost media, the Smurfs, or anything else that you find interesting, please let me know in the comment section of this video. If you really want to see more stuff like this, then I'd really appreciate if you like the video and consider subscribing. Thank you for watching. Bye!